Hello everyone, time for a proper live feed, okay? Now, just quickly, I'm going to do what we always do here. I'm going to shoot out some invites, just real quick like, because that's what we do. Now, if the phone's a little wobbly, I'm using a different holder to try and prevent it sliding down and blackening the screen itself and all that sort of nonsense. So, what we're going to be doing today is, in fact, installing. I'm looking for the tab for it, I can't see it. Good start. The extra speed cantilever set. Dennis has joined us, Tony's joined us, thanks for joining, fellas, much appreciated. If you do join us, say hello. Donald's joined us, hello Donald, how are you mate? So I'm going to see if I can quickly find the tab for the kit. Robert's joined us, hello Robert. Lawrence has joined us, hello Lawrence. It's here somewhere. Anyway, I'll drop a link in the feed after we're done, so you know exactly what kit I'm installing. Did install it yesterday. Yesterday was nothing but a shambles of live feeds, so today we're going to do it again. I have reinstalled, this is how dedicated I am to getting content that's done properly. I've reinstalled all the gear that I had in the truck before. Right, now while it's in here, I want you to pay attention to how much suspension movement we have. Right, this is all the factory shocks, Samex hoops, Samex chassis brace, etc. So I just want you to remember how far that moved, because once this stuff's installed, the amount of axle movement is crazy. Like good crazy, not it's flopping all over the place. So yes, I'm going to move my comments out of the way and then back in, because apparently they're not showing. Because Facebook, there we go. Tony says hello. Nick says happy belated birthday. Thank you, Nick. I was quite surprised just how many people said happy birthday. That was crazy. Tony says you need an iPhone. Ugh, as if, Tony. Really? Dennis, Robert Golling, morning. 3 a.m. here. Sorry, Dennis. Sorry, mate. It's hard to try and make everyone happy as far as time goes. Donald says, hello, Donald. Kevin's joined us. Hello, Kevin. So, what I'm going to do is, especially now that I've installed it once and I'm doing it again, I can give you a really good rundown on how to install the cantilever suspension kit from Extra Speed. Honestly, really quite impressed. Really quite impressed. So, as you get it, you get a few bags, excuse the noise, you get a few bags of little bits and pieces. There's some nuts and bolts and such that are in here. Important thing to note, on here, you will see there is a little rubber ring. Okay, they are separate. You get 4 rubber rings, 2 of which go on these little brass ball pieces. The other ones go on these other little brass flanges. Okay, so remember that. So they go on the little flange there. Lovely. Now, obviously, first things first, we need to take off the old setup. His phone is as good as an iPhone. I'm going to give you a little secret about iPhones, Tony, okay? Half of iPhones made by Samsung. Now, if you've got a phone that's made by another phone company, it's not going to be as good as the competition, is it? Okay? I guarantee I'll put my phone up against any iPhone any day of the week. Alright? This is the brand new HTC U12 Plus, and it is okay. This is my lovely bloody Pitbull Mad Beast rubber, Tony. These tyres are wicked. The foams were too soft, that was my fault, but the tyres are fan-bipping-tastic. Definitely rate these tyres. I've sort of become a bit of a Pitbull fanboy through accident. I bought these ones and they were good, so I bought some Pitbulls for my FR4C and they were brilliant. So I bought some more for the SU4C and they're quite brilliant as well. Dennis, Sony XA2 best camera 4K. This camera does 4K. My phone before this did 4K. Actually, my phone before that did 4K. So, sorry, mate. Whoa. But yeah, I find with iPhones, you're paying for a half-eaten apple on the back of it. All right. I'm all about value for money. Anyway, so we're going to whip the wheels off this truck, and then we're going to take apart. We're going to take the rear shocks off. Obviously, we're going to take the mud guards off. We're going to take the rear guard off, the rear bumper off. What kind of accent is that? Aussie, mate. Bloody oath. How are you, mate? Cobber? I'm from Australia. You touch your tyre way too much. I bet you touch your tyres and wheels more than I touch mine, Tony. So, that's my tyres. I've got some Year Racing beadlocks, which are just make epic. Love those wheels. Yeah, so even Dennis, look who's talking. I'm afraid you're not going to win that battle, Tony. Right, so I'm just going to whip in and rip this truck apart. Now, I know you can't see everything I'm doing, but what I'm doing at the moment is not that interesting. I'm literally just undoing, I'll explain as I go, undoing the factory shocks, top and bottom. So we need to get rid of those. We do need to keep, I think there's bolts here for the bottom, but I'm just going to use my factory ones because they're already there and they work. John Davis has joined us. Hello, John. Right, so we're going to take this off. One shocker removed. We're going to remove the other side, so you're not missing anything. It's the same process again. What's a set of pit bulls cost? Well, that all varies, of course, depending on what size, etc. you want. I will say, they're not expensive. They're actually really well priced for what they are. The performance you get outweighs the money you spent. So, it all depends on what you buy. I've gotten all of mine from RC Mart. And the majority of the time, a lot of these tyres are actually on special at RC Mart. So this is why I keep pushing RC Mart and, you know, dropping stuff like the Easter sale and things like that. Because a lot of the times, these tyres are on special. Right, so I'm now removing the other shock on the other side of the truck. Okay, gone. So that's our factory shocks gone. We've got our two lower link / shock bolts here. Now I have to remove the rear bumper. Again, nothing exciting. I've got to undo 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side. I'll remove my mud flaps. They come from Wish, for those wondering. Also my rear guard. Don't really know why it's on there, but it came with the front one, so I installed it. Brian's joined us. Hello, Brian. So I've got to undo 4 bolts to remove all of this, and then we're going to remove the centre brace that goes between the shock towers. All a part of the fun, as they say. Dennis, I got my new Hyrax, so in love, 1.9. Is it Maliko? Is that how you pronounce your name? If it's not, sorry. Maliko? Maliko. It's not Cho, is it? You let me know if I'm butchering your name, and I'll try not to. I'm not a fan of butchering people's names. I've got the bolt here, Tony. There's certain bolts I'm going to put in it, and certain bolts I'm not. I know one of these doesn't go back in because I used one of the kit bolts. So that's why. So this one will go in the tray. That's a mud flap removed. I'll remove 2 bolts from the other side, and that'll let us take our rear bumper off and all that goes with it. Tony, most of my tyres are Hyrax. With tyres, I'm happy to sacrifice a little bit of performance. I mean, in saying that, I haven't really sacrificed any because the tyres I've got from Pitbull have been fantastic. Not sponsored by Pitbull, you guys know that. This is me saying Pitbull tyres from me have been really good. Pitbull, if you're listening, you want to sponsor me. I like the disc brakes, aren't they pretty? That's Samix goodness right there. Samix goodness. They are really pretty. I forgot they were on there, as dumb as that sounds. Forgot they were on there. Took the wheel off yesterday and I was like, oh, how pretty do they look? The other mud flap is removed. My rear guard that I don't really need is removed. Now I can remove my rear bumper. Lovely. That's also got a big ass Samix brass weight on it. Now I need to undo, I know you can see this just off to the side of the comments. I need to undo these 3 bolts in here, either side, which will let me remove the centre brace. Okay, the centre brace that goes from one side of the chassis to the other, helps keep everything nice and stiff. Now, the centre brace currently is a Samix one, which is metal, which helps stiffen things up. Malechko is the pronunciation. Was that right, or was that a butcher? This is why Australians just call people mate, because you don't offend anyone. How are you, mate? Yeah, good, good. What was his name? Don't know. Anyway, moving on. Those 3 bolts undone. 3 on this side, and then we can start to progress forwards. One. This one. Now, at any stage, feel free to swipe the comments out of the way so you can see a bit more of what I'm doing. Like I say, what I'm actually doing right now is nothing interesting. I'm literally just taking bolts out. So nothing exciting. Johnny's accent will mess up any names. It's not John or Dave. What about Tony? Or am I saying that wrong? Tony. Is that better? Tony. Huge. Right. So that's my Samex centre brace removed. So now we're at the point where we can start to progress forwards with installing the extra speed cantilever kit. That's true, Yoni. Yeah, my name's Tony and America is huge. Right, so we're going to install this bracket, and it goes this way. These little lugs go towards the front. The extra speed logo goes towards the back. So I put that in, and the bolts we just took out, we're going to put straight back in. Bronco is a different car now. Put some weight in the front. The battery holder like 400 grams, but now I need to solve the side overturn. How jacked up is it, Dennis? How jacked up is your Bronco? How much have you wound your springs down? Because winding your springs down, please line up. Winding your springs down is one of the biggest mistakes people make with their trucks. It's the quickest way to make your truck fall over. Right, let's start it. Lovely. One bolt in. And goes the second bolt. Now all I'm doing is putting the 3 bolts in that hold, 2 bolts hold the shock hoops, and the 3rd bolt goes through the chassis rail and into the middle of the chassis brace. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Nothing exciting. You're not missing anything. Second bolt goes in. Lovely. Third bolt goes in. Lovely. Now I'll repeat the process on the other side. Right. Really quick, Dennis. This is just for you, my friend. So this is the standard TRX4 shock. Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to take this adjuster and you want to wind it all the way to the top. Drive your truck like that and see how it goes. That's how you have it. And this is for anyone else that's playing at home, if you wind your shocks down because you want to go big lift kit and it's cool and it looks tough and whatever else, or you want to put 2.2s on it and jack it up and then wonder why it falls over, Tony. Yoni. Coney. Huge. Anyway, if you do this, right, that makes it really stiff. Now as soon as you go to side hill and your truck hits a bump, instead of this compressing, it just stays there like this and your truck falls over. When you've got your shock set really soft, I'll do this one all the way soft. Right, that's all the way soft. If we go any further, it's going to come off. Right, soft and squishy, rock hard. Like that is rock hard. This, bad. This, good. The only time you really need to wind this down, and now I had mine wound down probably 1 centimetre, and the reason being is because of all the weight I've got on the top of my truck, made the back of it sag, so I wound down the springs about this much, nothing crazy, wound them down enough just to lift the back of the truck up a bit. With all the weight on the back and the springs like this, it sort of worked as though the shock was all the way loose anyway, if that makes sense. Tony says 2.2 life. Lol. Right, so I'll quickly put these 3 bolts in and then we can do some more progression. Because progression is good. Right, was that explanation good, Tony? Thanks for the tip, my pleasure. If that tip helps one person, that's a good day, I reckon. That's not starting, I'm just turning it. Why is it not starting? Loosen the front one, get the back one started. There we are. And then tighten them both up. And now the middle hole should line up perfectly. Should. Makes sense. I've done the whole jack the truck up and try and, make it look cool and like it's some sort of big custom 4x4, and then you instantly regret it. As soon as you take it out on the trail, you go, oh my God, it's terrible. It just falls over everywhere. That's what happens when you jack your truck right up like this, okay? Now, you'll see some people, when they've got shocks that have got 2 different springs and a little retainer in the middle, etc., they'll remove one spring and then wind this all the way down. What you're actually doing is wasting your time. You're literally better off leaving it like this, okay? You get more movement throughout the different springs. The different springs have different rates. It might be minute, but they're there. There's a good reason companies go to the effort of engineering these things and testing them. Getting rid of one spring when it's got 2 is just a waste of time, okay? If anyone tells you my truck drives heaps better, what they're actually doing is using the placebo effect on themselves. There's a lot of people out there that will mod their trucks and go, so much better now, so much better. But it's actually not. They just sort of say that it's better because they did something to their truck. That's a thing. Rex has joined us. Hello, Rex. My incision shocks are soft. They want to be for what you paid for them, Tony. They should be. These TRX standard shocks are legit brilliant. Bloody brilliant. John says, anyone else working on rigs while watching this? Good question. Who's working on what? What are you working on? Why? Now, before we move on, so we've installed our centre brace in the middle of here. I'll hold it up so you can see, so no one gets upset with me. So we've installed this in here, okay? All you need to do, undo 3 bolts on your original setup, both sides. Take the centre brace out of your factory one, slide this one in, 3 bolts, that's in, okay? This is not just a brace, this is also the mount for our cantilever setup, right? So we've done that. Now, when you get your setup, you just sit this stuff off to the side a smidge. When you get your setup, you have your 2 shocks, okay, which I yesterday put oil in and made sure everything was lovely. Half fill those with oil. Don't go any more than half, that's all you need, trust me. And then you get your 2 rockers, right? 1, 2, and then you get your 2 arms that go to your diff. 1, 2. Now, with your rockers, there is 2 bolts, one there and one there. What we're going to do is, we're going to undo the bolt closest to the pivot bearing, okay? That's the pivot bearing, that's where it actually pivots on the suspension. So, we're going to undo this one first, and we're going to put the lower portion of the shock absorber where that bolt is. Dennis is working on his custom rat rod. John's working on his mammoth. What a truck. Oh, mammoths love them. Okay, so once I hold this steady, once I get this bolt in, I'll show you exactly where and what I've done and why, etc. If my hands would work. Live feed, okay, stuff never works on live feed. If you don't believe me, do a live feed and try and build something. Right, that bolt goes in there. Now, because I know exactly how this setup goes, I'm going to Loctite it while I'm at it. Where's my Loctite? It's going to be one of those days. Where did I put it? I know it's here somewhere. No, it's here. I mean, I have got some in the top of my cap still, but too much stuff, too small a desk. Anyway, there is some still on the top here. My Loctite is here somewhere. I know it is. It's just eluding me. Anyway, so there's a bit of Loctite on the top of my little lid here. I'm going to take my bolt whilst still sticky beaking. I'll probably knock my Loctite on the floor somewhere. But anyway, I'm going to hold my bolt in my driver, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Loctite. Nothing crazy, alright? Just a smidge on there. Now I have to line this up again. Where? Right. Hold that way. Put that end in there. Push the bolt through. Lovely. And then do this up. I don't need to go stupid tight with it. I just need to make sure it's firm. Okay, so that's what we've done so far. That's your first step with the rocker. Now I'm going to take out the other bolt, which is the opposite end of the pivot bearing. I can usually see that stuff all the time. Anyway, so this piece is going to go on the other end. Coffee. I've got coffee here, Tony. Don't you worry about that. Right, just a smidge. Don't need much. It is way too easy to overdo the amount of Loctite you put on things. And then you make it so that you can't get stuff undone later on, which you don't want. Loctite is there to help hold the bolt in place. It is not there to glue everything in place. Right. So that's what we have, okay? That's essentially your cantilever setup. Now I'm quickly, really quickly, going to put the other side together if I stop dropping stuff. So far we're doing better than yesterday. As per usual, feel free to give this a share. This one's actually so far watchable, so give it a share. Right, what have I got there? That's that side. That's that side goes there. Lovely. Come on, hold it, hold it, hold it. A little bit of Loctite. Slip the bolt through. Lovely. Do it up. Catch you later. I need to go and look at a new ute. What sort of ute you looking at, mate? Just quickly before you go. And a pair of jet ski. Bloody oath, too much money. Joking, mate, joking. You go and enjoy looking at a new ute. Wish I had a new ute. Wish I had a ute. Anyway. Right, bit of Loctite. Balance that there. Shocker. Bolt through, shocker. Do bolt up. Lovely. Mr. Chris Leach has joined us. Cole's joined us. Hello, fellas. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Today is a redo of yesterday's absolute shambles. Okay, so this is our other side. Could you make that bike a bit louder, mate? Anyway, this is our rocker setup. That shows you how it goes together. Okay? Simple, easy, lovely. Morning, take two. Yeah, damn right. Question, what's your favourite go-to tools? I'm looking for a set. Well, I'm glad you asked. I use the Cross RC tools, okay? If you buy Mammoth, you get a free set of cross tools, which is funny because I already had 2 sets of cross tools before that. Now, cross tools are cheap, which is good, and I'm yet to wreck one, which is surprising. I undo probably more bolts than the average RC person, as you guys would imagine, but I'm yet to wreck one. So, Johnny, I don't know if you know this, but one of your trucks actually made it in our calendar for our group. I need that calendar. Can I get one of those calendars, Nick? Dude. Calendar. There. I can see it now. If I could get one of those calendars, Nick, that would be really epic. It might stay on the month that my truck is. That'd be awesome, dude. Thank you. That's an honour that you used my truck. That's cool. Awesome stuff. Right, now, where was I? So now we're at the point where we start to install these bad boys to the truck. Yeah, racing tools as well. I've got a full set of those here somewhere. I think they're in my bag. So once I got my cross tools, it was like, okay. But yeah, racing tools, which I'd used for a while, they go in my backpack. So whenever I go out camping, whenever I go out wheeling, I've got a full set of tools in my bag. And then I've got my cross tools that I use on my bench. So yeah. Right. So now we're at the point where we're going to install stuff onto the truck, make all this work nicely. Now, note, I'm running the Samick shock hoops, which are thicker than the normal shock hoops. Now, I noticed last night that I ever so slightly had one of my shocks touching the shock hoop. Nick, we only did one run and they were made for people who pay for them because, well, damn it. I have to send you a picture. That'd be awesome, dude. Look, if there's someone out there in Nick's group that doesn't really want their calendar, that's cool though, dude. That's awesome. Right, so like I was saying, I'm running the Samick shock hoops, and this may apply to other aftermarket shock hoops. These are thicker than the standard one. So what I did was, where my bolt goes through, whichever bolt it is, I believe it's this one, right? my bolt goes through my pivot. Okay, bolt goes through there, and then you put one of these spacers on. Right, that might be the wrong bolt. It looks a bit short now. Jeez, bear with me. Live feed. Try these two tools as well. This is the bolt. This is longer. Bolt goes through there. Right. So we've got this much. And then what I did after that was I put two 1mm spacers from cross on this bolt. Now, if you're running a stock TRX, you won't have to do this. Now, this is going to bolt. Okay, so we've got this here. Now, I'll quickly show you before I put that on the truck. You will notice one side has this plastic ring. Okay, that goes towards the inside, or towards your chassis. This goes towards the outside of the truck. So I know that this goes this way. So that's for this side of the truck because of where the ring is, where the spacer is, etc. That bolts onto. I'm trying to show everyone as much as I can so no one gets confused. The bolt that goes through this, okay, this bearing here, goes into this bracket. Now, if you put it into the forward hole, it will lower your truck a little bit. If you put it into the back one, it will lift it a bit, all depending on how you want to set your truck up. Right, so real quick like, now that I've explained that, and I will grab the camera shortly and show you up close how it all gets set up. I'm just going to put these on. I'm just going to nearly lose a spacer. Lovely. Lovely. So I'll do that in the front hole, the one closest towards the front of the truck. Do that up there. Lovely. So that goes on like this, right? Now, where your shock normally bolts from here to the diff, that's where this goes, okay? So this goes with your link mount and shock mount down here on the differential. Again, I'm going to take photos of this once it's all done after the feed, and I'll post them on the group, so if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. And I should be able to pick up the camera, move it around the truck once it's installed too, so to give you guys a good idea in case you've missed something. Right, so I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. Not that side, that needs to be, or does it? Yes, that's correct. Come on, brain. That one. Lovely. Brian Potts has joined us. Hello, Brian. How are you, mate? Hope all is well. Right, got two little spacers. Yeah, like I say, you don't need these spacers if you're running factory shock hoops. I'm only using these because the Samex shock hoops are thicker than the factory ones. Bolt that in there. Lovely. Robert's joined us. Hello, Robert. I can't wait to see a video of it in play. Do you mean like out on the trails? I can't wait to do one actually, because after messing with it yesterday, it was like, wow, the extra diff movement by installing this kit is nothing short of phenomenal. It's the difference between having 80mm shocks on your truck and 120s. That's the difference in movement you get just by installing this kit. Right, so they're on. Done the same thing on the side. Now we're at the point where, so you can have a look, see, we've got our rocker setup installed this side and this side. Okay? Now we're at the point where we need to marry the shocks up to the back of the chassis. We'll do that after we do the link part. So I need to put my drive shaft back in because that's fallen off. Make sure it's all lined up properly. I decided against the GS02. So what are you looking at getting, Brian? I forget what the other options were. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lower links where they need to go on the link mounts here. I need to, what have I done there? I've squeezed one where it doesn't need to go. Anyway, I'll fix that when I flip the truck upside down. So I need to put my lower link with, where's the other one? Lower link on the link mount. You can't see what I'm talking about, can you? Right, I personally am going to swap that out of the way so I can see what I'm explaining. Okay, so now our next step is grab our lower link. That's going to go to our link mount, which is just there. And then this part of the cantilever setup is going to go on the outside of it. Once I do this one and show you, all that'll make sense. Lovely. You go with the axial, are you, mate? Is the suspension travel reduced? No, Tony, it gets lots more. Lots more. Right, now I need to free up that link. What have I done here? Right, that there. How did I get that? How did I get that there? That doesn't make any sense at all. That link. Oh, okay, it's jumped through there. I don't know why, but it has. There we go. Right. So ever so quickly, I'm going to do these bolts up and get this where it needs to be, and then I'll show you how this looks and how it goes. Grab that link, put that in its mount, slide that bolt through the link. If everything will sit still for me. Lovely. Do this one up, and then we'll do the other side. It's the thin plastic bearing carriers for the diffs and the drive shaft mounting I didn't like. Look, when it comes down to it, there's probably something you'll look at with the SX10 and go, oh gee, that's a bit shit, I didn't realise that. I mean, there's always something with some truck that's not quite where you want it. And I guess that's where the bonus of all these lovely extras that everyone keeps making, that, you know, we can bolt on our trucks. It sort of, it fixes the little things that weren't thought about in the factory. But I mean, I know you know that anyway. Hello, Ben. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining us. Right, so I'll quickly slide this link in. I say quickly, it'll probably take forever because live feed. There we go. Lovely. We'll do this one up. And then we're on to the next stage of the install. Robert says, what model axial? Brian? I reckon he's going to get a Unimog. Dying. Okay, so here's where we're at the moment. Now, obviously, that doesn't stay like this, okay? We have, my drive shaft. Son of a poo. I'll fix it in a second. When you put your links and stuff back on, make sure your drive shaft's back together. Too distracted with questions. I wonder. No. How annoying. That one. I'll just undo it from here and see if I can squish it on this way. Most likely. Right, take that out. Line this up proper. Lovely. Lovely. Line that up there. Can I get that on show on the diff? Good, thank you. That would have been annoying. Right, put this back in. Making sure not to drop that. Right. You're totally right, but there's not a lot out there for GSO2. In saying that, Brian, I've not heard of anyone having any issues with them either. So, I mean, it's a truck. We take it out, we drive it in the bush, and we drive it over rocks and we roll it and whatever else. Something's going to go wrong at some stage. But who knows? I'm sure there's a company out there that's already working on something to make everything more better and pretty. Right, so we're not too far now from complete, which is awesome. Where we're at now, we can actually put our rear bumper back in, but we only use the furthest bolts at the rear. Now, if you want to see exactly what I'm doing, swipe the comments out of the way. So we're only going to use the very rear bolt, and I'll show you why shortly. So I'll slide my big brass weight back in there, if I can get it to cooperate. Now, if you do have an issue doing this, what you can do is loosen off these bolts in the middle, which I might have to do, because it just doesn't seem to want to cooperate for me. Come on, go in. Live feed. I'm going to loosen these 3 bolts. What that'll do, that'll actually let me open up the chassis a smidge. Loosen that one. Loosen that one. Loosen that one. I don't need much. It's nearly going straight in. Right. Lovely. So now I can just open that up a smidge, and that should straight in. Right. So, at the moment, the only bolt we're going to put in the bumper... Actually, before I do that, let me just tighten these bolts back up so I don't forget. That'd be terrible. Get out on the trail and have my chassis rails spreading. That'd be miserable, mate. Right, I haven't missed anyone's questions or anything, have I? I try to see them all. Right, so those three tighten back up. Right, now we're going to put 2 bolts in our rear bumper. Now, while I do this, obviously, I need to put my mud flaps and my rear guard and such back on, because I have to have this stuff. Right, so I'm just going to slide the rear guard up there so it holds itself on there the right way. Dang, you thought I made up my mind. Well, look, mate, this is just how I think. Like, I've never had a GS truck. I've had a 10.2. If I was to buy either a 10.2, even this is with the Unimog, or a GS02, I'd go the GS02. That's got the cantilever rear end, doesn't it? You might be interested to see just how much difference there is, Brian, because the difference in this cantilever setup compared to the factory, massive, massive. Right, so I've got my bracket sitting there. Now I'm going to put on the rear bolt for the mud flaps. And I'm not going to do it all the way up. I'm just going to start it. All going well. This is a live feed, so there's every chance. Lovely, started, good, wicked. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. This is going rather well. Something's bound to go wrong here in a minute. Power will go off or something stupid. I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't. Okay. So, that's got those just sitting there. Now, let me have a look here. This is one of the bolts for the shocks that go to the chassis, okay? I'll show you exactly where it goes in a moment. What happens is, you have the little outer brass piece. I know this phone's not going to focus very well. It's not the phone's fault, it's Facebook, because it doesn't autofocus properly. Anyway, so you've got a little brass shim, I suppose you'd call it, a bush, with a rubber O-ring on it. The little one goes to the outside. Then, after this goes through the shock, you have a ball piece that goes on the other side with a little rubber O-ring on it as well. And they squeeze together, and that makes your rod end, or your ball end rather, pivot ball, for the shock. Okay. So I'll try and do this so people can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bolt with my little what do I call it? Bush, whatever, with the O-ring on it. I'm going to put that through my shock one side, okay? Then I'm going to take my ball piece with the ball facing inwards, put it like this, okay? So we have bolt through the middle, we have the little bushing with the O-ring, and then we have the ball bushing with the O-ring, and then this bolts to the chassis with, I'm glad I remembered, with one of these spacers, okay? There will be detailed photos of this. Now, like I said before, because I'm using the Samex gear, I need to space it out a smidge. If I remember correctly, I use 1 mil spacer either side for the back. If you're running a normal TRX4, you don't need to worry about this. 2.5 mil, right? This has to be started in the back. Lift the truck up, makes this a whole lot easier. Need to line up all my stuff. Lovely. Right, so tighten this one all the way up. Then I'll tighten up that front little bolt that holds the mud flap guard dealy on. Chris has joined us. Hello, Chris. Right, so that's got that side. installed. Wicked. Now I'll quickly do the other side. So you can see it's not a crazy hard thing to set up. You just need to pay attention. Don't rush it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message or post in the group. If you get this kit and you want to, you know, Jono, can you shoot me a picture of how this went together so I don't stuff it up? Yeah, I can. 2.5. Yep, lovely. Lift up the truck. Come on, mud flap guard thingy. Move. Now, obviously, mine might seem a little bit more difficult, and that's only because I've got the extra guard sitting there, and I've got the mud flap bracket sitting there as well. But there you go, that's started now. Lovely. So I'm going to do that up nice and tight. And then I'm going to tighten up the original bolt for the mudguard bracket, and then we're done. We can put the wheels back on. Hi, and Lee's joined us. Thanks for joining, mate. Much appreciated. So, that there is installed. Okay? Look at the diff travel I've got now. Now, Brian, I suggest you go back and watch the start of the live feed at some stage, and you will see the factory movement compared to this. The difference is nothing shy of epic. It's great. It's phenomenal. Right, now we're going to smash the wheels back on. Easiest, bestest part. Best part because it means you're finished. And then I'm not sure what else we're going to do for the feed because this is all I planned. Lovely. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long feed. Doesn't have to be a long one. Of course, we're going to have the Yeah Racing live feed coming up shortly where I check out the 5-pole brushed motors. That's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. The new crawler line of motors. I don't know what trucks I'm going to put them in, so if you've got any suggestions, let me know. I don't know how fast these motors are going to be. There's a 13 turn, a 16 turn, and a 20 turn. I've got one of each because I might want to change one to faster, one to slower, etc. So, 20 minutes of watching. Oh yeah, we've still got 20 minutes to be putting the body on yet, so there's still time, people. Right, I'll quickly put my wheel covers back on. I'll tell you what, while I'm here, I'll solder that wire that I've been meaning to solder for the last 6 months. Probably not that long, but one of my servo wires from my BEC, not from the BEC, from the servo itself, the signal wire, I don't even know how I broke it, but I snapped the wire clean in half. Okay, so that's sort of sitting normal. Right, look at the movement there. That's heaps. And the flex is just, it's crazy. I mean, it's not stupid. You're going to get stuck everywhere. 16 is meant to be like a standard 35 brushed. Good. That's good. That's good to know. So, I might put my 16 turn in the FR4C. I mean, that truck's so smooth as it is. Interesting. Gives me something to think about, Robert. Thank you. So that's that installed. Look at the range. I'm just going to swipe this out of the way so I can see what you're seeing. That there is, that's your cantilever setup, Brian. That's the difference. And that's pretty substantial. Now, I'm going to mess around for 20 minutes and put my body on. Not that behind it. Watch, 20 minutes. I'll swipe the comments back so I can see who's laughing at me because this was painful the other day. Even my mum said, geez, that body seemed a bit hard to get on. Yes, mother. I can never see what's catching it. There we go. Oh, yeah. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right. So, that's how the back of my truck's sitting at the moment. I mean, that's... Have a go at the movement. Now, I'll probably wind those shocks up just a smidge, just to give it a bit more spring. But scale bounce is there, right? Now I know my phone's moving a bit, it's a different phone holder, you'll have to forgive that, but is this set up for travel only, or are there other benefits? Well, it's supposed to hold the weight better as well. So for your side heading and stuff, it's supposed to work better for that as well. I'll know more once I take it out and put it through its paces. But I mean, even as far as I can see, if you're going straight downhill, right, you're going over a big drop, right, and if your truck's sort of limited where your diff won't go past there, even that sort of limits you. When your truck lifts up and your diff's sitting down further, especially with brass weights and such on it, well, you've got a better chance of the truck not rolling over forwards. So there's multiple advantages. Mum was funny. Yeah, she's funny, all right. She's a good sport. I will say that. My mum is a very good sport. Right. Lovely. Hide those wires. So there you go. She's installed. For Tony Gutierrez, how about that bumper? Okay. The air racing bumper there with winch. Love that setup. It's such a funny truck, this, because I've so many times tossed up the idea of selling it because I drive across trucks all the time. But then you go and do something like this and it's like, well, I want to go and drive this now and see what it's like. It is a beautiful truck to drive. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is how you install the extra speed. I can't remember what the code is. The extra speeds, not that one. Aha! XS-TX28086 cantilever kit for the TRX4. Now, I believe it will fit the SCX10. Okay? May need slight modification, and that may just be as simple as spacing them out or something like that. If anyone is really desperately wanting to know if it'll fit an SCX10, I can try it on my 10.1, which will give you a pretty good idea if it'll fit a 10.2. Alright? I will literally rip that stuff back out of my truck again if you really, really want to know. Okay? Mike Jackson's joined us. Thanks for joining, Mike. Much appreciated. So yes, that's that. I do need to wind that shocker up just a smidge. I'm slightly lower this side than the other. Oh, perfect. Perfect. So yeah, that's a massive amount of travel. Look, look at the amount of travel in that rear diff. It's crazy. Do that with your factory one. You get to about here and then the whole thing picks up. Do it now. Get out of town. I really want to know. Of course you do. Look, looking at it, looking at the kit, let me have a look at the back of this truck. It'll fit. I'm telling you, it'll fit. That piece goes in there, that goes in there. That mounts the same anyway. It'll fit an SCX10. I reckon so. And if it'll fit an SCX10.1, it'll fit a 10.2. I have a cantilever on my SCX10 with a blazer body and love it. Isn't it a shame this truck never sees the light of day? Hannah? This is Hannah's truck, by the way, for those that don't know. It'll fit, just looking at the space between the bolts and such, it'll fit. The only thing you've got to check is the bolt gap between your chassis plate and shock hoops, okay? It's close. I'll say worst case you might have to drill 2 holes. That's Hannah's truck. And look how clean this thing is, would you? Fully upgraded the truck for her. I think never sees the light of day. Poor thing. New wheels and tyres and everything on it. But anyway, I digress. Right. Someone said, Tim, how did you get all that travel on the TRX4? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll take the body off. I don't like taking it off because it's a pain in the ass to put it back on. I will move this around here. Okay, now I see why it's sitting high one side. One shock wound down, the other one's not. Even those up, and that sits nice and even, awfully. Right, now I'm going to, at great risk, I don't know why I do this, I'm going to unplug my charger. I'm going to flip the camera. Is that all metal Samex on Hannah's truck? Yeah, it is. Every green part on Hannah's truck is Samex metal. So, this is our cantilever setup, right? Now, I will focus just here. You will notice there is a little spacer just here, okay? When you use the Samex shock hoops, you need to run a little spacer here. That's a 1mm spacer for those playing at home. And down on this little silver piece in here, down here, there's two 1mm spacers. So you can use a 2mm there. That just spaces it out so that this, when compressed, doesn't hit this bolt head. If you're running normal TRX4 shock hoops, that's not an issue, okay? Just the Samex shock hoops are thicker than the normal ones, which is good. So this is the travel we get with our rear diff, which is crazy. That's brilliant. Right. So that's some pretty good travel. That's a nice kit. I really quite like that. So, Brian, to answer your question, buy the GS. If the rear suspension's anything like this, you're going to go a lot more places with that. Why do you leave the shock hoops? Because that's a part of what holds the body posts. And, I mean, look at them. Look how pretty they are. I love Samex stuff, so it stays like there. But, yeah, that's a part of the body mount system for the TRX4, so that stays there. Which I'm happy with. I don't like putting Samex stuff on the truck, and I don't like the idea of taking it off because of how much I'm attached to my Samex stuff. Where can I order it? RC Mart, mate. If you go to RC Mart and search, where is it? Yep. Stay. If you search, alright, take a screenshot if you like. Oh, not yet. Take a screenshot. You gotta love the internets, don't you? Anyway, we're back. Right, take a screenshot for those that want the part number. I don't know what was going on there. And that will get you the part if you go to RC Mart and do your search for TRX4 goodies, etc. and so on. Right, I'm going to set my phone back over in the corner here. I'm going to flip the screen around. Don't have a brain fart phone. Lovely. So that's that. I think does it go on the front too or just the rear? Just the rear. If you were I mean, you could possibly no, you couldn't really. I don't think you'd get that much of a benefit out of doing it in the front. But definitely, looking at it, all the parts quality and such is really nice. I said this yesterday. Really quite impressed with the machine quality of everything from the shocks to the rockers, etc. Really quite nice. As soon as I finish this feed, I'm going to take some photos, smash them up on the group so you can have a good hard look. Can recommend that. That's really quite nice. I like that, and it's smooth. It is very smooth. I like that. Tell you what, just before we finish up, there's wire here. I'm going to solder it. Because I might remember. Otherwise, if I don't do it now, I'll forget. I don't know, I've forgotten it more than enough times as it is. Right. So, this is just a little servo wire that I pinched together. I did a trail fix. How I've got it, yoink, I just need a little piece of heat shrink. Like, yay. I'm not going to worry doing a close-up on this because it's literally one little tiny wire. It will be hard in the front. Exactly right. And because you've got your pan hard, whatever else, you're going to get to a point where your panhandle will move so far before it starts to go, I don't like this. So, yeah, wouldn't recommend a setup like that in the front anyway. Right, I need my lighter to strip this wire back ever so slightly. Yoink. Lovely. I've got a heat shrink on there. I'm going to twist these together all pretty like. And then I'm going to solder them. And then I don't have to look at that god ugly fix that I did out on the trails. What steering servo do you run on your TRX4? I run a Yeah Racing 20 kilo waterproof servo with a Hobby Wing $3 UBEC, external BEC. And it's a brilliant setup. It's really good. I know I smash on about Yeah Racing servos. I run them in, not that. That truck is too heavy for 20 kilo servos, trust me. I run them in that, this, that, what else? That, Hannah's truck, the Demon down there. There's other trucks here. The FR4C's down there. The SX and 8x got 2 of them in it. They're good servos. I ran them in lots of stuff because they're good value for money. Stock motor. I'm running the stock motor in my TRX4. I may change that for one of these Yeah Racing ones. I'm running the stock motor. I have put, I don't know how much difference this makes, but I've got a heat guard on my motor just to suck some of that heat out. Running the factory ESC, factory gear change servo and factory locker servos. Haven't had to change them. I run my TRX4 on my DX6, which allows me to fine tune each servo so that it's not overextending itself. In my opinion, the factory radio that comes with these trucks overextend those servos too far, and that's what makes them go poof. What's the specs on that Hobby Wing UBEC? I will send you a link. I think it'll take pretty much any LiPo in and puts out 5 or 6 volts. What you got to remember is the voltage that it's putting out is uninterrupted because it's coming straight from the battery. So I run mine with a bypass. So I have power going from my ESC battery in wires. Power comes off there through the BEC to the servo, and then I just have a signal wire that goes through to the receiver. Does that make sense? That's what I do. And that way your servo's powered. Your servo's powered straight from the battery. I mean, I run a 2S LiPo on this truck, and it's plenty in my opinion. I run a 2S in this truck, and it works brilliantly. So yeah. Right, now, if I can find the end of this solder, I'll make a new end. Yoink. Yoink. I'm quickly going to solder this. I assume this is hot enough. Quickly solder up this, and then I don't have a butchered trail fix on my truck anymore. It wasn't butchered, it worked. Well, can't be too bad, it's been on there for 6 months. But now that's a nice solid fix. Heat shrinked. Heat shrinked. Lovely. Fixed. Ugh. Keep blowing up the castle BEC and they cost way too much. Really? Well, I don't know what to say, mate. Like, oh, it was in the bag. Where did it go? Hang on, bear with me. Bear with me. Is that it? Cheers. Okay. I'm glad that's not hot because I just put my hand right where I just soldered. Okay, so I'm going to slide this forward. We're just about finished the feed now. Right, this is for Mike's benefit. Okay, UBEC. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm a bit closer, not too close. Right. This is what I run in my TRX4. Now I'll tap and hopefully focus. Okay. 2D6S LiPo. Come on. Facebook, stop being a retard. 3 amp, max 5 amp. You've got a little switch here. A little toggle you can change between 5 volt and 6 volt. I generally run mine on 6. Alright? And it's honestly, it's brilliant. Quite simpletons. So, this would normally power your receiver. You plug this into your receiver and it'd bump up everything in there. But is it waterproof? I don't believe so. Just plaster dip it. So that'd normally go to the receiver. But what I do is I cut this off and I attach this to the positive and negative of my servo. Okay. This goes to the positive and negative of my ESC battery in. Okay. And then the signal from the servo goes to my receiver. So the only thing from my servo that goes to the receiver is the signal wire. But yeah, I've ploughed mine through water, and I don't know if it's just luck or because of how it's coated, it's fine. But if you're going to go anal or you're going to go submarining, plaster dip. Okay. So that's what I use. Yoink. This phone holder's handy, but it's a little bit fragile compared to the old one. So anyway, I think that's about her. That was a good install. If you've got any questions, let me know. Okay, feel free to ask, and I'm going to do pictures and such anyway and post it up. I am really quite impressed with that kit. It is nice. I'm just so happy with the amount of movement in the back of it. We have a batch of these coming. These are like, I don't know how much are you selling them for, Chris? They're cheap. I know they're cheap. I generally, if I do an order on Wish, I'll probably do it through Chris now, but if I do an order on Wish, I'd order like 5 of them and just have them in the drawer. Put the body on. Nah. You watch, I'll get it straight away. I bet you I don't. I'll be so annoyed, I'm going to blame Ben. Right, put that there. Yoink, yoink. There you go. That go straight on? No, back's still sitting up. Son of a bitch. Your fault, Ben. I need to find out what it's touching on. I think I just see it. I see what it is. One of the screws that I've put in the shock tower is longer than the other one. I think it's catching on that, so I'm going to change that out. I bet you that fixes it. Pain in the ass. It's only to hold the body posts on, so I wasn't too phased about it, obviously. So yes, Chris, how much are your external BCs going to cost? I mean, like I say, I'll pay like $3 for mine off Wish, plus postage, which I think is probably $2, or the thing itself will be free, and then you just pay the postage. Postage? Postage. Bloody hell. English is difficult today. Have I got a bolt that'll better suit that? I do. This is probably the one that's supposed to be in there in the first place. You watch the body drop on now, boys and girls. I bet you that's been the issue the whole time. Beep! So there you go. Oh, now this side's not sitting right. That's my fault though, there's a wire poking out. One of my light wires, I bought a light kit off Wish, and it came with no instructions and it had like 20 lights on it. That was painful. So yes, that's how she sits in the back, and that's how much movement you get in the rear diff, which is epic. Crazy. Can recommend that kit, really quite impressed. That's a 10 out of 10 kit. So yeah, that's today's live feed. I'm glad it was better than yesterday's loads of honky. Okay, there's going to be another live feed coming up very soon, which is the air racing one. Then there's a couple of truck unboxings planned. I don't know the exact dates of those yet. I've got to work all that out. Chris, once you suss out how much you can do the UBCs for, I guess it's more so for us Aussie blokes, do a post in the group, let us all know. So you've got to support your local small businesses. Brian, buy the GSO too. Let me know what you think of it. I think after looking at the suspension on this now, Axial, never heard of it. Kidding, no one send me abusive messages. So yeah, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. Give it a share, especially like with the future ones, because people are going to want to check out those motors. I think they're going to be pretty epic. They're not expensive by any means. Yeah, and they seem like they're going to be really good torquey motors. So, can't wait. All right, give it a share. Give it a thumbs up and a like and whatever else. And, yeah, we'll see you on the next live feed, which will be announced hopefully this week. All right? So, take it easy. Have fun. Look after each other. And we'll talk soon. See yous. Oh, and happy Easter. Stay safe. Don't do anything dumb. Okay? We can't take the piss out of you after Easter if you do something dumb over Easter. So, don't do anything silly. See you. Beep.